bring up a painful memory, but it is important for the public to understand. In the last meeting, we had a voting conundrum with Robert's Rules, and we had talked about whether the city had, and I apologize because I didn't have my laptop and I couldn't research it, but the next day it was researched, and we already have code that says that's the answer to that, should that ever come up in the future. If we have, actually, regardless of abstentions, essentially what the code says is you need 3 votes to take any action by the city council. 3 affirmative votes. There are some entities, counties, states, whatever, that have said that once you have a quorum present, it takes a simple majority to pass anything. The reason why they do that, and Scott had to leave, but I actually was thinking maybe Scott could he could tell us what his thoughts are on it, and we could decide to change it if we wanted to, if you like his argument or not. His argument is that is a good thing if you have a simple majority once you have a quorum present. And I'm like, why? The council is 3. I mean, do you really want the city taking action on anything less than 3 votes? That's kind of my position. And he says otherwise, if you just have a simple majority, the advantage of that is that a non-vote, an abstention, is truly a non-vote. When you have the code that we have that requires 3 votes, it allows an abstention to be a kind of a no vote. Because if you know that there's not enough positive votes, you're able to abstain, and you haven't voted, but it makes it harder to pass something. So his argument is a simple majority allows an abstention to truly be a non-vote, and the will of the remaining council to still be done. So that's I guess it's just whether we would like, I guess we could hear Scott's argument on that or not, but we do have it solved. We didn't figure it out that night. For that, I apologize. But right now, our code says it's 3 positive votes, affirmative votes, in order to make any action happen. And if we don't ever change that, that's the way it'll always stay. We don't even have to go back and do anything that was done because we ended up having 3 votes in that meeting. So just I guess to answer the question in case the public is like, why aren't you going to fix that? We don't need to fix it because it's already there. So that was just a side note that I wanted to bring up.
All right.
Is there anything else in that meeting that needs to be brought up?
You're looking at me.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that I want to bring up.
All right.
That says a lot.
And with that,
I do have something I'd like to bring up. I just got a text that asked if I was going to bring up whether there was an illegal meeting in the hall. I didn't know that was going to be expected of me to address that. So I'm being put on the spot.
Well, Dan,
and I'll tell you. Go ahead.
No,
we had a discussion. We went out in the hall. I was given instructions. I don't have a comment as to whether there was an illegal meeting or not. I don't. I was told that we needed to change the committee. It put me in a really tight spot. So I approached Councilman Burton and said, the 3 would like you to not be on the committee. And he said, I don't like that. And I said, I don't either, because we just talked about it, but I want to move forward with this thing. That's what we need to do. And I said, if you want to bring it back for a vote, or if you want to voluntarily step off, that's fine. Originally he said, I'll voluntarily step off. He then said later, I don't like this. And I said, I don't want to get between the council on this. I don't. So I'm not going to make a judgment call as to whether there was an illegal meeting in the hall. I was directed immediately after the meeting to change something that had been decided in the meeting. I don't care whether there was an illegal meeting. I don't know what defines an illegal meeting. Is it 5 seconds? Is it 0 seconds? Is it within the thing? Is it the spirit of the law? I feel like I'm being put on the spot to defend whether there was an illegal meeting, and I'm saying I don't care one way or the other. I think everybody could make that own decision as to whether there was or there wasn't. But the result of it is you put your city manager in a tricky spot.
And that's not the purpose. The integrity of 3 members of this council was impugned. I personally was called something. Both the the city manager and the lawyer viewed the security tapes. Is that not correct?
That's not correct.
No, the police chief did.
The lawyer has not seen it.
No, the
Well, when I talked to
police
him,
chief did.
okay, my information was incorrect. What I'm saying is,
Even if there,
what I'm saying is,
people can talk and you can figure stuff out, and if there's a meeting or not a meeting, I actually
No.
don't put I don't even worry that much about it.
I don't either, but to be called a liar in council, that needs to be addressed.
Well, and I'm not defending, because I really don't want to get in between.
No, I know, but Dan, that meeting was a disaster
I
all the way
agree
around.
that meeting was a disaster.
I'm gonna jump in here. So to me, there isn't a question of if there was a meeting in the hall, how many feet apart you were, where somebody was located. The issue I have is that after a decision was made outside of a public meeting, a subordinate was then given direction to act
No,
with direction given by 3 council members,
No,
without counsel with the other 2 council members.
what happened, Mayor, is we approved the initial committee. And then public statements were made that made it seem that there was not impartiality.
Public statements after the approval?
After we originally called for volunteers. We were fine.
So
It
where
was
did the
fine.
public statements come from? Within the time the meeting left and the direction was...
No. The meeting was held at the candidates forum. There were statements made that changed my view as to the impartiality of one of the committee members.
Well, you were
That
there
was-
at Meet the Candidates that night. You know what statements were made. But my issue is, the violation of the Open Public Meetings Act is that we had an open public meeting where a decision was made, and then within a very short time period, probably less than an hour, another decision was made outside of an open public meeting, and then a subordinate was given direction about the decision that had been made for an action in an open public meeting to be changed.
Mayor, may I say something? Please remember that the committee was formed in the first meeting in September. The controversy occurred in the first meeting of October, so there was a month in between.
Yes, but I was directed to do something 10 minutes after the meeting ended.
In October.
Of the meeting that the committee was set apart, I was told to do something 10 minutes after the meeting. Different. And like I said, I don't care. This is an ad hoc committee. There wasn't even a vote taken. It was a committee.
Then why was
I
it brought up
assembling.
the last time for a vote?
I didn't bring it up. Oh, why was it brought up? Because we agreed what we were doing here, and I was directed to remove a city council member, one of my bosses, from a committee. Now, what am I supposed to say to that person? Guess what? I decided of my own accord that you're not going to be on this committee. I can't say that. I can say, I was directed to tell you that they would rather you not be on the committee because of some things that you said. And Dave said, yeah, I understand because I have said some things. So, but then the more he thought about it, he thought, that's not right that they tell him that. So he wanted me to get back in the middle of it and go back to you guys, and I said, I refuse to be the middleman in refereeing an argument amongst a deliberative body. And I said, Mayor, put it back on the agenda. If they want to fight about it, let them fight about it. Let them make a motion and a vote, because that's how this body makes decisions.
Exactly, and yet we made a decision that was overturned by both the attorney and the city manager.
No.
Yes, you
The
said...
decision was overturned in the hall. However...
No.
Well, okay.
The decision about who was going to be on the committee was overturned, and I was directed.
It's just
I don't know what you're talking about,
Public Meetings
Brother.
Act is critical to transparency, and the...
Now, whoa. Transparency? Bring the video from the hallway, show it in a public meeting to see if in fact there was an illegal meeting.
You know what, I would really like to do that, because then the public can decide for themselves. I don't care, I don't want to be in the middle of this.
I want to work together, but there is no working together.
And, I mean, the other part is it was just talking about bringing people together to talk about a step and grade. That was all this committee was...
Exactly, and yet we were fine up to then. It was the comments that were made in public.
But not in that meeting.
No.
I was put in a position that we left here with a decision, and then I was given a task to take a city council member off a committee.
No.
And what am I supposed to do? And what I said to you guys was, this puts, not to you, to Sharon and Matt. And I said, I don't expect this to go well. Dave is not going to want to come off this committee.
You did say that, yeah.
And I said, what's going to happen is, and I said, I'm at the end of the day, the majority of the council is going to take action on what this committee does. So the majority of the council needs to figure it out. And I'm fine with that, so therefore, if Dave agrees to voluntarily come off an ad hoc committee, I'm fine doing this without bringing it back to the council for a vote.
It's done. He is on the committee.
I know. That's why I was fine doing it without bringing it back to the council for a vote. But when Dave says, I'm not okay with this, which is what he said a week and a half later, I said, now I'm in an impossible position. And I said, therefore, it needs to be resolved by the majority of the council, so it needs to be where the council can even take any action, which is in this room by vote. You might think that that was some sort of a setup. It wasn't. I tried to do everything I could in that meeting to avoid the circus blow-up that happened. And once it blew up, I tried to gather it back in. I tried to say, let's just leave the council out of it, and we'll have the administrative do stuff and bring back some options. And this is too, and I use the word personal, because I didn't want to use the word emotional. This is too personal, and I can see that it's personal. But at the end of the day, the way we get things done by a deliberative legislative body is by voting and by using Robert's rules. And that's where this thing had to play out, since there was a disagreement by the council, who are my boss, collectively.
I don't even care how it transpired. What I care about is a decision that was opposite of the decision that was made in an open public meeting, was made and then a direction was given without the knowledge of anyone but through
That
council
is not,
members.
show
I don't care about the tape, I care about the direction that was given. That direction was given to change that committee after the decision was made to...
We're not on an agenda item, so we can't take action, but I think that if the council would like me to, we'll put the video out on the website or on social media.
And the other part of it is, again, you had already said you had a conflict and you had abstained, but then you basically led that agenda item. It's okay to sit back and
I
let-
did, and then I was told that in violation of everything that I have been taught in 6 years on the council, of 3 votes required to pass anything. That, I didn't have my ordinance here. Dan didn't have his, and Scott didn't have his. But in 6 years on the council, I have always, every Utah League of Cities and Towns, every single training in a 5 or 6 member council, 3 affirmative votes are required.
I understand what you're saying, but after you said you had a conflict and after you had abstained, you led that agenda item. The vote thing happened at the end of that. And so the point is in
Because I
council meetings,
abstained
which
does
I
not mean
study.
that I do not have the right to,
No, but if there's a
discuss.
conflict and an abstention, generally the council member is then quiet. And in some
No.
cases, if they're not able to be, they leave the room if they really can't be objective.
that is,
But the meeting being led by you, that agenda item being led by you, was also really, for me, I'm like, but
why then didn't you take charge?
because at that point, I was as
You
as
are
taken
the
aback
mayor.
as I think everyone else. And
You are the mayor.
you're right, and I'm learning and working hard at it every day, just as each of us are in our roles. But at that moment, so putting that all aside, no matter if it was, however the decision was made, and it was even said in the meeting that a decision was made, we just weren't exactly together, but a decision was made by 3 council members outside of an open public meeting,
That,
and then direction was given to change a decision that was made in a council meeting.
no, we did
And that
not
is what
meet
happened.
together. We discussed. Are you telling me that you do not discuss city matters privately with 1 or 2 individuals?
I do, but never with 3 at a time. And whether
We-
3 council
show-
members made a decision.
Show the
Regardless of
tape.
how you made the decision, you made a decision and you changed a decision that was made in an open
Based
public
on new information.
meeting. Everyone was at Meet the Candidates. There wasn't anybody that wasn't there. That wasn't new information. That was at Meet the Candidates, which each one of you were there. You heard it directly at that meeting. That wasn't new information. And again,
It came after, okay.
step and grade discussion. It was just a policy discussion. And
Then-
that would push us from a 10 o'clock meeting to a 4:30 meeting, potentially having to pay overtime for those involved. So there were a lot of things about that. It would make more sense to bring it back to a council agenda and to have had that discussion in an open public meeting.
So this is the tape just immediately after the meeting from inside the council chambers. Right here, Jim tells me we gotta talk out in the hallway after this meeting, and I said, okay, cool. Happy to do it. I'm not trying to color anything, I just want everybody to understand. This was the day that we put Scott in, so he was asking me about some stuff.
I didn't see how much time had lapsed, but it was then that you went in the hall and were given the direction.
I haven't been given the direction. I haven't even gone into the hall yet.
Do you have the hallway shot?
Yep, we'll watch that next. So, So then I walk out into the hall, 22 hour, 3 minute, and roughly 10 seconds. Actually come back into the room at 22:07. So I was out in the hall for about 4 minutes. We don't have a camera in the bathroom, in case anybody was wondering. We do have a camera in the hallway that's right next to this, in case anybody wants to see it. But, and we might as well show it as well. So, apologize for being long-winded with Scott.
I'm being long-winded there too.
I would skip through this, but I don't want anybody to wonder if anything happened in the area that I skipped, so. Here I finally come. Our discussion happens just off camera, but I'll show you the other camera. I'm not going to show the whole tape of that camera, because I will. In fact, so just from a timing standpoint, I mean, I'm not here long, but I'm just talking to Matt and Sharon. 3:53 is the time, and I'll indicate when different people come and go. That's Jim in the doorway. There's Dave Burton. Stacy, please don't. I'm just asking. I'm not trying to paint it one way. I don't want anybody else to paint it anyway. I just want the record to show what it is. That's the only reason I want to show this. No, you're alleging something. So now the meeting is over and we're walking back in. That's when I go back in, where you guys see me come back in, right? This is just, of course, so I'm going to skip ahead to the point where Jim and Jim is not there, but Matt and I are there with Sharon talking. So this is while they're waiting, Jim went into the bathroom.
Can you go back to where Councilwoman Topham comes out of the council chambers?
I left right after David Burton.
Huh?
I left right after David Burton.
So,
Can you go back to where the three of them were standing in a triangle in the doorway?
I'd really rather not. I'd really rather just put it out on the thing and let people decide what they want. It's gray area. Again, what's official, what isn't. Even if there was something, what does that mean? It's not like it's just, this is an ad hoc committee. This is politically charged. Emotions are really high, and I understand them, and I don't discount that.
okay,
I've just tried to move the business of the city ahead without trying to take sides.
and I understand that. My only point is our integrity was slandered. I personally was attacked. That the statement was made, I saw with my own eyes.
I did say that. Do you want an apology?
Yes,
You do?
I'm not asking for one, but if you want to give me one, I will.
Because yes, I did say that, and then after, when I was watching, I was like, yeah, I didn't actually see them with my own eyes, but I knew you were out there. But yes, I did not see you with my own eyes, but I knew that you were out there. I did say that. And so I apologize for my misspoken, for
Thank you.
misspoken.
I appreciate.
But I will not apologize for standing up for what is right.
And neither will I.
Okay,
Neither will I. And we can agree on that.
okay.
And we have video of the three of you meeting in the hall, and then direction was given to a subordinate to change a decision that was made in an open public meeting.
A meeting? Is that any different than,
We take out the meeting part, but even say a direction was given to a subordinate that changed a decision that was made in an open public meeting.
so you're saying that we can't review decisions made?
You can't give direction to a subordinate that changes a decision that was made in
No.
an open public meeting.
Who is a subordinate?
Dan,
No, Dan is an employee of the city.
who is his management?
You.
Who else?
No, we are the legislative body. You are the chief executive. Dan,
So here's the problem with that. I tell you guys to go to heck when you tell me that?
no.
No, I take
Any-
direction from the council.
But in the final analysis, unless it's an ordinance or a resolution,
Right.
you have much more leeway.
So here's the thing. I actually agree with both things that are being said right now. I agree with the fact that this was not a legislative decision, but it was direction to change what had just been discussed in the meeting. Now, it doesn't rise to the level of an official meeting. I call this meeting to order,
So
all that. Because it's like an ad hoc committee. This can't happen, and I'm like, okay. And that's why I was comfortable with the fact that, I wasn't comfortable with the result. Like, if there had been a vote taken, and then I was directed the opposite of that vote, it would be clearly stepping over the line.
Exactly.
But what it was, the spirit of it was the same thing. And that's why I was like, okay, I'm fine with this. Actually, my objection in the hallway was not that I'm being directed that this is an illegal meeting. In fact, I made a joke to you, we can't have 3 people. I said that, and Jim, and you said, no, I'm leaving, and you walked out, right? But I said, my objection was actually the fact that by removing Dave from this thing, you're gonna get Dave really upset, and this is gonna potentially blow up later. And I said, I don't wanna drag the employees through this political disagreement. Now, having said all of that, when Dave says, no, I don't want to come off, I'm in an impossible situation. And I presented that impossible situation as a possibility. If Dave doesn't want to come off, I don't want to get in the middle of this. I will ask him if he wants to come off. And if he doesn't want to come off, then at that point, it needs to be an official legislative act with votes and everything.
Because, can I just interject just a little
Yeah.
more? Is because then when I was asked to be on it, I said, okay, is David okay with it? Apparently there was a miscommunication, because then I got accused from him from blindsiding him and taking over his position, which I did not. I didn't even want to be put in the middle. And the only reason that I chose not to be on the committee is because I would have to do it after hours, which would require other city employees to have to stay after hours. That is the only reason I didn't want to be on it, not that I didn't have the time or the energy or things that I'm being accused of why I didn't want to be on it is not even the case. It was the case of I would have to be here at 4:30 because of my current job.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the only reason I didn't want to be on it. But when he is, you guys know how he can be, is like, I don't like to be accused of blindsiding somebody because I don't have time to blindside people. Like, I don't think like that.
And my other point, and it's been brought up multiple times, it got brought up again tonight, is the mayor can meet with anybody the mayor wants to.
Absolutely.
I've invited you to open Friday meetings. I've invited Sharon to put a desk in my office. You can meet with me anytime. You always infer that it's a secret thing or something. If I meet with someone, I can meet with 2 council people.
Absolutely.
I was accused of in writing meeting with 2 council people was a problem. I can meet with 2 council people, but the 3 council members cannot meet together. Cannot. And so that's
absolutely
a quorum,
true.
and that's not allowed. And so there's
Does that
accusation,
constitute a meeting?
standing together talking in the hall, I think so. I mean, we're not supposed to. I mean, we all know that. But even you have secret meetings. You can have a secret meeting with me anytime. Come and talk to me. It's never a secret meeting. But in the hallway with 3 council members, making a decision and directing someone to their decision is not allowable.
We talked one-on-one, and then 2 went. Did you see Matt go 2? Stuck up his hand. What I'm saying is, let's move on. Okay? Rochelle, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I apologize to you and to the mayor and to the city for me getting too loud. Dan, I apologize to you for putting you in this situation.
It's okay.
I think we need to make sure that we're doing what is best for the city.
I agree with that.
Then let's move on. It's over.
And we need training on open public meeting, because even the accusation of me doing things in secret if I meet with a council person, I will happily meet with anyone,
No, but
anytime.
I like what Jim is saying, let's move on. And you're absolutely correct, we have to do it by law once a year. So I make a unofficial motion, 'cause I don't make motions and the meeting is as good as over, but we need to have Scott, let's break him in as our attorney and have him do a training on it.
And just in
We need to do it
response
once a year
to, I'm
anyways.
the mayor and I should know, I had both attorneys tell me they've never seen anything like the kinds of things that have happened here in very long careers. So how would I, 2 years in, know how to handle something that legal counsel hasn't ever seen
No,
in very long
but
careers?
there are some simple, basic rules of running a meeting.
Yeah,
You are,
We always
this
follow
is
them.
your meeting.
even the appearance of.
That gavel, when things get out of hand, bang the gavel.
And I
Take
should
charge.
have banged it when you led the section about the thing that you said you had a conflict with. I mean, we do need to do better. I agree we need training.
But it's important to understand, too, that just because a person declares a conflict does not prevent them from discussing or even voting. You cannot deny a legislative person the ability to vote. He can declare a conflict, he can recuse himself, he can vote yea or nay. You cannot prevent a duly elected representative from voting.
And I agree with that. However, I think that if you make a motion, you're positively making a motion to do something. I don't think you can then vote against the
Oh,
motion
you
to do it.
absolutely can.
I've read
Hey,
the opposite.
I'm gonna bang my gavel, because we've all agreed that we need additional training. And I'm going to ask for a motion to move from this public meeting into closed session. We will be discussing, if I can find my little sheet, the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual, collective bargaining, pending or reasonably imminent litigation, the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property, including any form of a water right or water share, the sale of real property, including any form of water rights or water shares, deployment of security personnel, which I have no idea, was told we
Thank
needed.
you
No.
all for coming out.
Purchase or sale of property.
Okay,
Sorry.
strike that, it's the purchase or sale of real property. I wasn't told what we were going into close for. I wanted to be sure I covered our bases.
Oh, I make a motion. Oh, you made a motion already, didn't you?
No, you can make the motion and I'll second it.
I don't have anything to read.
I'll make a motion to move into closed session for
Real property.
real property.
I second that.
All those in favor by roll call.
Rochelle Topham, aye.
Sharon Downey, aye.
Matt Gill, aye.
Jim Shirtliff, aye.
Dan.
I got my sweater. Did you text him already?
I just said, we're really worried, could you give us an update?
She didn't call me, Ricky.
I just hope it wasn't my microphone. But I just
What do you need? Oh, she's gonna sign it in here.
Yep, let's just sign it real quick.
You're we're gonna do it in here, aren't we?
I'll take them on the way home.
No, you're fine. I know that it is, like I said, I don't discount anybody's emotion about it whatsoever.
Anyway, I'm sorry I had to be in a position to shut me up.
Where do you want me? You want me to wait around?
We're good. We're good.
Sure?
Yes, we're
Cause
good.
I'll be in there to be a peacekeeper and say,
We don't need a peacekeeper.